Welcome to What Do You Say?
Hello.
Oh, really? Are we still doing the YOLO thing?
Yes, again, it's here to stay and you have nothing to do about that. They're going to host another special guest from the gaming industry. Shlomi, where have you been in the last time?
Last time we talked to a Polish studio. It was super fun. Where are we headed today?
So, today I'm going to take you and our special viewers to Malta.
Malta?
Yeah, have you ever been there?
In where? I don't even remember what a plane looks like after COVID. It's the thing with the wings, right?
I think, and maybe there's like a small window.
Yeah, there are windows there and stuff like that.
I'm not sure about that. But if you have my special connection with the next studio, you will fly to Malta right now and have a special tour guide there.
Nice.
Yes.
You think he's gonna like me?
No, but let's ask him at the end of the interview. What do you think?
Maybe, because I'm dark inside.
I know,
Yeah.
but now let's get to the point.
Can we meet him?
Yes. So, guys, I want to introduce the co-founder and the technology leader at Flying Squirrel. Please meet Anthony Di Manuele.
Hey, Anthony. How are
Hello,
you?
guys. I'm good. How are you guys?
We're fine. We're fine. We're
Super
excited.
fine.
Yeah, we're excited about this web show. And let's start with just tell us a bit about yourself. How did you end up in gaming?
This all started by chance, actually. So I live in Malta, and maybe 10, 15 years ago, there wasn't really a gaming industry in Malta. So there wasn't any opportunities like to go into games. Like you could play games, but you couldn't make games. But at university, so we got this opportunity to, hey guys, like how about we do a game challenge? Like you do like like the similar to these entities where you go and do a game in a weekend, but we had 6 months to make this game. And so we had from June till December to build this game, and said, okay, like I'm in. I want to do this. I want to try this. So we set up this group of people trying to make this game. We had no idea how to get started. And then you start kind of like things start falling into place. Kind of like you cannot just jump in and start making games. You need to think about what you're doing, design stuff. So you start going through these iterations of thinking about concept and design. But we did it. So this first game was for the Xbox 360 back then.
Oh, really? It was
And
Oh.
yeah. So we had a dev kit at the university, so we used that. It was like super cool. And okay, like this is so exciting. Like you can think of an idea and then you do it, and then you give it to other guys, get their controller, play with the controller. So cool. It was called Battles on the Horizon. You can still find it on YouTube. Like it's now when you look at it, like it looks different than it felt that moment, but it was like really cool. And then we said, okay, like we can do more of this stuff. Like it's really cool. But this wasn't for money. We didn't sell the game anywhere, but it got you into that idea. You start understanding that you can actually make games. And then we started making games for the Google Play Store. Like it was still in the early days back then. And that gave us kind of like some confidence that, yeah, we know we can do stuff. Like you can get an artist, teach them how to do like some simple sprite animations. Then kind of like things really fell into place. Big studio came into to Malta. So they opened a big studio. We were about 100 people there and I really wanted in. So I got a junior position at that studio. Learned a lot over there. So you get to meet. So there were a lot of junior people, but you get some talented people as well. Some very good artists, some very good developers, leads, really good. We learned a lot through that. Unfortunately, it didn't last long, and it was kind of like not a nice way of ending things. So I said, okay, like I don't want to go work for someone else at this point. Kind of like it was so there was so much passion into that just ending it was premature. So I said, okay, let me try and do some. So it's like my own games. You feel that, yeah, now I know a lot, I learned a lot, so let me try and do my own things. So there was this period of 8 months since the time when we left the company. And I said, okay, I can do one project. Okay, let me start 2 projects, start 3 projects. And you start making like different projects. Eventually, like 2 of those projects, one of them is a racing game that we still support today, was a big hit. And we did also another Kerim game. I don't know if you're familiar with Kerim. It's like similar to Pool. So we made that game. It's very simple stuff. So we had I was just by myself and others were doing maybe 3D art, But it wasn't like we weren't a team together. You just outsource or maybe working in partnership together, that kind of stuff. But these games were both successful. So that opened like a floodgate of, like new opportunities. I couldn't do all of that by myself, so that's where kind of Flying Squirrel came about. And we started growing from there. And yeah, this is where we are today. So the studio was founded in 2015, and we're still here
How
today.
many people are you in the studio?
Just 5 people right now. We were a bigger studio earlier, maybe about 3 years ago, but we shifted. So in the beginning, we were doing lots of different projects at the same time because, like, I mean, you feel good when people tell you, like, you did this game. Can you make a game for me? Okay, like, why not? Let's do this. But it wasn't really what we really wanted. Like, it's not about something that you churn. Let's make another game. So it's not. It wasn't who we really were. So since about 3 years ago, kind of like we scaled down a little bit, and we're doing more of the games that we really want to be in instead of just making lots of titles.
Nice.
It's a 5 professional employees. But Antonio, I have a very special question for you now.
It is.
It is a special one. What is the connection between you guys and a squirrel? And why is it flying? I mean, what is the reason for this unique name for this your studio?
Yeah. So back in the studio where we were, but there were lots of foreigners. So it wasn't just Maltese guys. There were lots of people from all over the place. So one of the partners that founded the studio, Flying Squirrel Games, with me, he's from Canada. We don't have a lot of wildlife here in Malta at all. Like, we don't hardly have anything. And we were just like, just came about this squirrel. And hey, like, do you know that squirrels can fly? Like, no way. Like, they can't fly. We know that. Yes, they do fly. In reality, they're called flying squirrels. Yeah. But I've honestly never seen them. Like, we've been to the UK and you can see like squirrels all over the place, and also we don't get that at all. But in some regions, especially in Canada, you get these. They don't really fly, so they would just like open their kind of wings and hop from one tree to the other. So yeah, that's how it all started. We didn't have a clue for a name, so yeah, Flying Squirrel Games it is. It changed a little bit over time. So now kind of like, even with the logo design and the improvements, you get to see this squirrel with bright open eyes on a rocket, kind of like aiming upwards. So it's got this idea behind it that you kind of like aim high where you want to go. That's how it started.
I didn't know. It was really interesting. Cool.
Yeah.
So now I have more knowledge.
I saw that you developed quite a lot of games. So my question is, what is your favorite genre? Basically, it's like, I thought at first to ask about your favorite mobile genre, but you said that you started from Xbox. So now I'm interested in, like, in general, what is your favorite game genre?
Yeah. So I think my favorite is, I'm surprised with games. They are like, when you play games, especially when you try to understand games, you notice that there's a lot of thought behind them. So like, my favorite when I'm playing, when I want to relax, it always ends up in racing. Whether it's something simple as Mario Kart, where you're just, like with your kid or with some friends, and you're just four of there, like bumping around and having fun. But even on the other end of the spectrum, where you're playing like a set of course or racing, like something which is, like where you really have to be sharp and drive well. But when I say I'm surprised, it's more about, for example, something that is discounted by most game designers, but it's a lot of fun. When you look at the hyper casual game. So with hyper casual games, there's a simple mechanic that they do. They look cheap, and I agree with that. Kind of most of them they use basic art. But when you look at the game design of what goes into that, they use one mechanic and then they do it so well, it keeps you at it. Like, you keep thinking about it, and whether it's a simple merge game or a simple runner game, or like most of these popular hyper casual games. So I wouldn't say that's my favorite, but that's the one that surprises me the most, because they get one mechanic and they do it so well that keeps you like, how can I get this like small game, and I keep going back to it. So that would be the genre that I would say surprises me the most, and kind of like like keeps you thinking about what you can do next.
Yeah, it's a hard question. It's like, will you like more dad or mom? It's hard to get it.
Actually, I feel like racing is coming back in the last, I think, 2 years, because racing kind of went off grid a bit for a few years, and now like, I saw that Forza Horizon Did you see the new Forza? Right, it looks actually realistic, the most realistic game I ever saw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I feel like racing is coming back now more than ever. So it's a good genre for you.
Yeah, and they're
Yeah.
professional in sprint
Yeah.
cars, so
No.
good for you guys. Tell me now. I have a question about the future.
Okay. Good.
Um,
That's good.
Antonio, where do you see Flying Square in like in 5 years from now? What is your
This
vision?
sounds this sounds like a question where you get in like in an interview. Where do you see yourself in
Yeah, exactly.
It is an interview.
It
It
is.
is. It is. So if you look back at how it was like when we first started, I mentioned that racing game, the first one, their second one, do I you did. Um, and if you see the quality of that game and where we are now, you see like it's such a big leap. You start with some basic art, not even coming from real artists, like someone that can do it, and then you see where you could go. Where do we see ourselves kind of like in the future? We want to keep on improving. So what we did with the racing games was built kind of like our own community. It's been growing over the years, and they kind of like they always ask for more stuff. So what we want to do, something I didn't mention. So we were always on. So we started with Xbox, but then we've been always a mobile um, game developer. We did a lot of Android and iOS games, but we kind of like stuck. We were stuck there. When the Nintendo came out, we were so excited about that. Kind of like Nintendo, so cool. So we released our first game on Nintendo about 2 years ago, and another one this year. So moving forward, that was so good for us. Like being on the Nintendo Switch again, it opens a new way of thinking about things. Even quality wise on mobile, you need to some people have cheap phones, some others have the latest, most shiny Android or iPhone. With Nintendo, there's no such thing. Like there's one kind of, so you know the quality that you would expect. Moving forward on PC and the new Steam console as well, that's a bit. I see that
You
as an
guys
like
on the right
exciting.
way. I can see it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would fit so well. So yeah, so moving forward, we see ourselves improving on what we already have. So we're definitely we're building more racing games, adding some of the features that the players request, and improving the technology behind it, like our servers, the way we do such things. So yeah, so we're hoping that we grow our kind of like our bit that way through other platforms, including more Nintendo, more like that
Cool.
game that I
You have
mentioned.
Steam Deck
Nothing to
now.
declare, but Steam Deck, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've seen that.
Yeah, it actually I hear it's super cool. I
Yeah,
from the reviews I saw, people say that it's really smooth and it's interesting. It's an interesting platform.
yeah, exactly.
I have a quick question. What is your favorite? Like we talked about your favorite genre. What is your favorite game? Okay, in all like gaming, all of gaming. Take like I don't know, Xbox, PlayStation. You talked about Nintendo, PC, mobile. What is your that is not yours, by the way? Very important. Okay.
Now it's getting harder.
Yeah. What is your favorite game, or what did you play lately that you really love?
Assetto Corsa, the racing
Okay.
game.
Yeah, it's a good one. Okay.
Now I want Shlomi to speak about Antoni and me, about our relationship. So Antoni,
Sorry for being here. I'm
exactly,
sorry for existing.
exactly.
Okay.
Antoni, we create a special bond between our companies. Why do you think this they succeed? It's a
Yeah,
hard one.
yeah, I don't think so. So it's more about the I at least the way I see it, having good uh, products. So what you're offering is honestly really good. So we've been doing games and trying different ways of like monetizing our games in different ways. And you bring this to the market, which is of high quality. And we can go deeper into that, why I say what I understand with high quality. And then at least we see what we bring to the table as well, which are what we see as high quality games with good traffic. So I think there's this, like there's this bond between there that when you have two quality products and then obviously like nice people behind those products as well, then you can make it work.
Okay.
Great.
I saw on your website that you're looking into the VR world. Can you elaborate on that? It's actually a super interesting space. You know that Mark Zuckerberg said it's like this decade is going to be the VR and AR.
Yeah.
Big Bang. So
He says a lot of stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, so we've been, again, like with any new technology, it's always like the new shiny thing, so we want to get your hands on it. So when it was AR, we did some of that stuff. With VR, it's so exciting. I don't think a lot of people had the chance to try it, so it's not mass market yet. There are many reasons because of that. Obviously, like cost is one of them. The other part is that as soon as people who never tried VR will never understand it. So as soon as you put on your VR headset, you're in the zone, like you're in a different world. So we've seen players who, like people who never had VR, and as soon as they go in, they start bashing around the room, kind of like they really go into it. So it is something different. Like it seems very futuristic. With the new headsets that are coming out, like which is not just, but recently we got the Valve Index, for example, super cool, like much better than the older ones that we had. So it's really exciting. There are many opportunities there.
We talk about our special bond. Where did you go with all this
It
VR
was
stuff?
interesting for me. It was interesting. The VR was interesting. Listen, Anthony, Maya has no life. Like she eats sayolo on her vacation day. She okay.
It's
What
correct.
do you
It's
wanna?
correct.
Do you wanna tell about your love story there?
No, I'm
Whatever.
just saying, Anthony, tell me, you chose YOLO because of me. I know that. No,
Yes.
I'm seriously. Why did you choose YOLO?
Making games costs a lot of money. Like you have to think about, like design, concept, and actual development, testing, then live ops and servers. So it is expensive. So somehow you need to monetize that. Um, there are some easy ways. You can just ask players, hey, give me money. And some would be eager to pay that. So that's kind of like not a direct issue, but not everyone can do that, especially if your game is targeted at people who don't even have a credit card yet or live in countries with, like with other different problems. So it's not always that easy. So in some of our games, we said, okay, let's try making them free. And, like the whole economy with putting ads in there or in-app purchases, and that works as well. So you get a lot of people who say, okay, like I'll get it for free because there's no barrier now to get it. But then obviously the costs are still the same. So we changed the way we're asking players for money, but the costs are exactly the same. They didn't change. Actually, it's a bit higher because you need to maintain this whole new economy. So actually, your costs went higher. With the traditional ads, the ones that we see all over the place, like rewarded ads and assistant ads, they work well. Everyone got used to them, I would say. But the experience is a bit similar to when you're on YouTube and you get, I want to watch my video. Why do I have to wait? Like most of the time, you don't really watch the video. You just walk away because it's not the right time to show the video.
Yeah.
So with what you're offering, it's not intrusive. Like it's there. The brand awareness, I would say, is still there. Like if you get nice creatives in place, it's as if it's there. It's actually even better because this technology, maybe it's new, but we've seen this in many movies. Like it's been done in movies all the time. Like you go there and you see someone, like drinking some particular beverage, or like these place dads. They're not really telling you drink this beverage. They don't tell you that, but like the subconscious is thinking, oh, he's drinking that, so maybe I should do that. Like all of this. So I think with YOLO, you're just doing that, but in a gaming environment. Works really well, which is kind of like why we didn't just start, but we kept on going. I think we've been going for close to a year now together. So that's
Do you have a favorite monetization tool, or you just because freemium got big, especially in the gaming industry in the last decade, and there are some monetization tools in the market. Do you have a favorite one?
I mean, there are a lot. Like the easy ones, the ones that we like the most are obviously when players are willing to pay you cash upfront. Like that's the best way, of course. But it's but then you have to look at the numbers as well. Not everyone can do that. Like we understand that. So there's this barrier that if I cannot do that, I would like to play your game, but you'll never see me as your player because I just can't do that. So with native ads, it's removing this barrier to entry. So it's really good. It's removing this annoyance that make the game look a bit cheap because I have to watch all these ads, while still providing the benefit to whoever like the advertiser is coming from. So I would say it's becoming my favorite. It's not my favorite for some other reasons, that it's not big enough yet. And the reward ads are, like they monetize much better than we're doing right now. So it's not there yet, but it should be my favorite. Like, it should be going there. Like, if this keeps growing, I think this should be the future for everyone. I think for advertisers, it gives them more value, and for players, it's less annoying. So it is a win-win situation.
Cool.
And when you think about like game economy, what is your approach?
Yeah, I mean, I think it builds on top of all of this. So game economy. So you need to make the numbers work. So you need to make sure that you don't go bankrupt. Like, the costs are there, so you need the game. Otherwise, like, you just chop it off. Like, if the game is not making enough money, like you're spending more money than making from the game, you have to do it. And we see that happening all the time, which is okay. But then you need to think of, okay, how do I avoid that? Like, you need to make games that are successful. So you have to think all of this kind of like in its ecosystem, where it's not just about you making money. If you're a ninth player, they will go away. So retention is key. You need to acquire users and then retain them within the game. When you retain players, they are more likely to recommend it to other players. There's this snowball effect as well. So if you're playing games like ours, where it's an online multiplayer game, you cannot have a successful game with just like 10 people playing it at the same time. You need volume. You need lots of players over there all the time. So if you want to race, you don't have to wait a long time. You just need to go, I want to race now. Other people join you, and off you go for a race. So it has to work, like in that way. So it's kind of like built all together. You need to make money. At the same time, you need to make sure that it's fair for the players as well, so that they keep playing your game. They stay there, and they come back often as well.
Yeah. You talked about that you grew a community around your games. What do you think about the gaming community as an audience? Are they hard? Are they, they're really, their criticism is really high. What do you think?
So I don't think we should generalize. So you find the really good people who would leave honest reviews. Sometimes they're not very good reviews in terms of number of stars or their comments, but they're honest reviews. But then you see on the other spectrum where you see the trolls. So the community, the gaming community in particular, especially, I think this comes from the younger audience, like really, really young kids, that now that because they have this platform, they want to make their views out there. So they would just, I found this, like picture, let me share it on all the Discord servers and all the channels that I find, or on their Facebook pages. So at least there are tools to counter that, like let's ban people because they learned a new rude word. So let's put it all over the place, and my name and like all over the place. You cannot generalize. So this is not like across the board, but we see that a bit more often. I think this has been like since forever, but before, like when we were young, maybe at least let's speak about me. So when I was younger, we still did stupid stuff, but we didn't have an audience. Now with all the social media, because all the games are like online, then that gives them a voice. So I think maybe they're getting a bad reputation, not because kids nowadays are different than we were. It's just that they have a voice.
Yeah.
Just to see that. But we see the other spectrum as well. So I have to mention that like some players really are passionate about the games that you do. They really appreciate what you do. We receive, and I keep these kind of like when we receive these nice messages, I tend to keep them like just for reference because they make you feel good. They really appreciate what you do. So it's really, you cannot generalize. You have some bad apples, but then you have lots of good ones as well.
Yeah. I have to say, Antonio, that my favorite game for your studio is Dirt Tracking Sprint Cars.
It is a good game.
It's a great game. So I'm interested to know, like, tell us about the creation of this game.
Yeah. So okay. So this has been a while ago. So we released that. I believe it was in 2017. So the first racing game was in 2014. And then we said, okay, like we kept on making that game, kind of like supporting it, but now we need to do, like something better. You can only improve so much on a game. Other than that, it becomes you're making it from scratch. So we said, okay, let's make this sprint cars game, and we started doing that. We had a full team of 10 people working on that game, creating all the art assets. So it was a big leap of improvement from the initial one until we got to that. We made some mistakes along the way. So because we had all these resources in place, we went over budget. We spent a lot on that game, but it was like a successful game. In the first days, it was a premium game, but then the reviews were so positive. But we knew that we couldn't grow enough. Well, if we kept it that way, so we changed it to free to play. It's been a while, like almost 2.5 years ago, and the community grew so much, and yeah, it's what makes it fun today. We're still supporting that game as well. So I mean, you see all of this, like we try to do at least an update. Most
Yeah.
likely it's one a week, but sometimes it's one a month. It depends on how big the feature is. We had new drivers in there, like real world drivers can join the game, real tracks. Sometimes we had fictional tracks, race events. Like we do so much stuff in there.
I bet you hear from a lot of users, reviews about the games, but do you hear like feedbacks about like the in-game ads or the interstitial ads or advertisement a lot at all? Do you hear some stuff from viewers, from
Yeah.
gamers?
We were worried, like especially when we first switched to free to play, we were worried that yeah, like now players get to see. I know it's an accepted norm, I would say, now that you get to watch ads, to like to play most free to play games. So most players get that because we're not the first. Like it's been done for so many years now. With native ads, it's kind of different. So it wasn't really a thing. So this is a funny story, and I don't think I never mentioned it to, not even to Maya. So before we integrated any SDKs like YOLO, we used to do that on our end. Like players would come to us, hey, if I have like my brand that it really fits your game, can you put it around the track, like what happens in real life? So we didn't really have the text for that. So we would go, put some art assets, give us the creative, we'll design it for you, we'll put it there, we'll charge you whatever we think is fair. And we used to do it that way, like kind of as a manual approach. It was kind of like in the environment, so no one complained about that. So then we got to know about, native ads. Let's try that. In the early days, so this was again about 18 months ago, we got very bad reviews about native ads because they were impacting performance a lot. And you have to understand this is mobile, so you get some players on really cheap phones. And you get the stuttering, so I had to turn them all off. Like these are native ads, they won't work. It's not good. And we turned them off. Like I said, we gave it a shot, but it doesn't work. We got so much bad reviews, and they were making money, but we couldn't take that money and lose players. It didn't work that way. So we said, okay, like then you get approached, like someone like that, yeah, thank you. I know what you do. Like I don't, it's not correct. Like thank you so much. But hey, you should try this. Try this, and we'll see if we can make it work. Yes.
Maybe Flying Squirrel will get an in-game shop very soon. We will see. It's still secret.
Yeah.
No, thank you very much.
Thank you, Maya. Anthony, it was great having you here. The best of luck with your next games. We're with you along the way. And also maybe we'll do in-game ads in VR. It's also a possibility. That's it. Thank you for being
Thank you so much
with us today. And thank you for all the viewers that joined us today for this interview. And that's it. See you on the next show.
See you soon, guys.
Bye-bye, guys.
Bye.